So, first question. What is the role of planning in how you teach? Like, how important is planning for you as a teacher?
I'm probably a lot better planner than I used to be. I certainly don't make the David Hicks lesson plans. David, is he going to watch this?
Yeah, I'll watch it.
All right, good. However, I do like to have laid out very specific things every day. If I thought I could pull it off, I would have students equipped with calendars. And I think, I don't know, teaching has made me more anal as far as making sure everything was regimented, because if you're prepared, students know it. Students know what to expect. Students know where things are organized, and there's no mystery to it. So, do I think planning is important? Yes, very. And I'm better at it. I don't know what more else I can add to that.
I think you're good. How much do the SOLs play into your planning and your teaching overall?
I would say that would be in all actuality, I think the SOLs are a pretty good thing for planning, because it gives you a place to start, and it gives you something that you know you absolutely have to cover. So, you structure it around those, making sure you hit them. One tool I do use is I don't know if I can show it, or you can be able, anyone watching can see it, it's very simple, a checklist where kids know exactly what's been covered, what needs to be covered, and then what other additional stuff that I do add. I'll put it to you this way: I like to make time in order to cover anything else. But I won't lie. SOLs, we got to teach them. So that's kind of what you start with.
If you had to sum up your teaching philosophy, what do you think it would be?
As an on-the-record answer or an off-the-record answer?
It'd be probably on the record. You could probably give both. But
I would say an on-the-record answer. I think if you could entertain and teach. I said the message today in class, matter of fact, I honestly believe history specific is something that no one hates history. If you can promote that and get kids to understand that by entertainment or entertaining methods, I think it leads to more success. So I do think entertainment for me is a strong component. I probably could drum up a few other philosophies, but I would probably stick to that main one.
Entertainment.
As a structure, that was the first question though. So you got to entertain within a structure. And it can be done.
Okay. Right. And how do you think that specifically applies to middle school students?
Middle school kids, the beautiful thing is they don't have any idea who they are yet. A lot of things about middle school, what comes out of their mouths isn't what they say, which I guess could be looked at as tricky, but at the same time, middle school kids, no matter what they say, they're still absolutely reachable. Almost 100%, I would say. But you got to give them a structure, give them a format. I think you build a relationship with them, so even if you have to correct them, or scold them, or punish them, or whatever, it's water under the bridge and you're back at it again, and they understand clearly what the guidelines are, they don't cross the line, and you can have a successful school year. I don't know.
I think that's great. Within that, you were talking about discipline. What is your philosophy on discipline with students? And what behavior management would be the academic term for it? But how do you discipline? How do you get the behaviors you want out of students?
I probably have a few different angles on that. I don't think there's a black and white. Number one, I think you got to build relationship with them. That's very vague and magical, happy landish, but I do think that's an absolute. I do think you need to provide them with what the boundaries are, and when they cross it, if X happens, Y happens. I do think that a punishment does need to be consistent with, well, for example, one of my credos is waste time, you owe time. It was a baseball coach's of mine's philosophy, and I thought it was brilliant because you can almost filter anything in. Kids are screwing around, that means they're wasting time. That means they can owe me time. Kids forget supplies. That means they're not prepared to do what they're doing, so therefore they waste time. Therefore, they owe me time. If you can make it logical, they get it. They get it. And I think that's important for a 12-year-old brain. That what he says makes sense. It's not an arbitrary, oh, you're talking in class, silent lunch. I find that very arbitrary and not, basically pulling something out of the air to assign a kid something that arbitrary that doesn't have anything to do with the behavior that they're causing. So, anyways, not to mention, I do think, back to my core philosophy from before, if you entertain, you eliminate a lot of behaviors to begin with. So, if you combine it, the other thing about discipline, I probably should say one last thing. I prefer to handle whatever I possibly can, by myself. I don't have, again, the answers to all that step by step, but whatever you can handle yourself. But calling parents, meetings, staying after to deal with a kid, whatever it may be, the more you can handle by yourself, the more the kid knows you're going to take care of the problem and you're serious about the problem. The more you start needing the principal, needing your teammates, needing someone else to handle the problems, I think eventually it's worse for you. So,
when you started teaching, what do you think the expectations are for a young teacher? Like, how much time did you spend getting things ready? What do you think the administration expected out of you? What was the overall feel of maybe those first few years?
I do think in today's world, again it goes back to SOLs, I suppose, but I think, first of all, an administrator, two things. If you can do these two things, you're going to be successful with any administrator. Number one, you get decent test scores. However that happens again, not sure. You can specifically have an all-purpose rule to that. But so you get good test scores. Number two is you keep business, I call it, away from them, which goes along with the discipline thing. So if you're not sending kids to the office every day and you're handling your own problems, you're going to be in gold with any administrator. So you get decent test scores and you keep discipline to an absolute minimum. I think that's probably number 1 and 2. Now, how I did it, I was probably self-motivated and probably gone overboard with a lot of, I don't know, going an extra mile to find a song that I wanted for a lesson, or making a diagram on a smartboard or something, or a jump starter, or I put in many hours, but that was completely self-motivated, self-driven. So,
do you think that's expected? Do you think that the average young teacher is going to spend a lot more time?
I would say, yeah, you probably will, because you have no idea what you're going to be teaching.
So you
won't have a choice at that, most likely. So you can't necessarily prep for exactly what you're going to be teaching now. So, heck, you could be hired the week before you got to start. So I would say, yeah, if this overlaps a little bit with what you said before about planning an organization. I do believe, even this is another credo of mine, even if you don't know what you're doing, always look like you know what you're doing. And you can only do that by, planning. So, if I was starting off from scratch with a new class, yeah, I'd be busting my butt to put something together ahead of time. I don't know if that...
Yeah, I think that's good. One last question before this dies, hopefully. How much time do you currently spend? Because you talked you spend a lot of time afterwards. How much time do you spend outside of school, thinking about school or doing work for school?
I've designed it so I don't do very much outside of school right now. I'll be honest. And I'm pretty lucky. We got 2 planning periods a day, which is nice. So I like to maximize that time. I like to get here early. I'm the first one here. I have 2 children now, so I don't have a lot of time at home anymore. So I'm here, the earliest one, 6:45, and then I leave around 3 when we are allowed to. I'll make phone calls sometimes at home, and I'll try to use planning periods to the fullest to make sure I have everything covered.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And